All right, market heroes. As you guys know, Strangles by themselves are not IRA or cash account compatible. You need a margin account to be able to trade those. Um, However, we have defined Strangles that are retirement account eligible or cash account eligible that anyone can do. Now, I they might not be as profitable as a strangle itself, and you'll see that here in a second. However, the goal is to show you exactly the right strategy of defining our risk on our strangles so that those with retirement accounts, 401ks, and cash accounts can still get in on the goods of selling options, selling strangles, and really being able to profit on that huge edge that we have as individual investors. So again, like a blue in the face, but it's a really, really big deal. We sell an out of the money call and an out of the money put to execute a strangle, right? We're selling an out of the money call and we're selling an out of the money put at the same time. We're collecting $1.66. The goal is to have SPY finish above 233 and below 252 45 days from now. We know that if we buy back this strangle for half of the credit we received, or in this case, 83 cents, we will make about 33% more money per day. And then if we do it at the right time when volatility or the expected move is greater than average, we make even more money, right? And again, we're selling options because options are priced off the expected move. And over the last, 100 years, the expected move has been greater than the actual move. Thus, options are a little bit overstated, right? But for those who have IRAs or are concerned about undefined risk, we have this concept of a defined strangle that is perfect for you, right? We define our risk. Thus, we don't need a margin account to be able to execute these strategies. At the same time, people feel like, hey, people are able to sleep better at night having an understanding that they don't have completely unlimited risk, right? So this is where this concept of defined strangles comes in. So we did big study here, guys, almost 15,000 occurrences, 2003 to present, almost 14 and a half years of data, depending on when you're watching this, right? So what we did was we sold the one standard deviation strangle in the monthly expiration cycle closest to 50 days every single day, right? So the first thing we did was we sold it undefined risk and we bought it back at 50% of the max profit that we received. So in the example we just showed, we sold a strangle that's undefined risk, the one standard deviation strangle, for $1.66. We looked to buy it back at 83 cents. So that's the first thing we did, right? And again, that's this strategy. Selling the 16 delta put, bang. Selling the 16 delta call, bang. So that's the first thing that we did. The next thing that we did was we wanted to buy the 10 delta call and put to define our risk, right? So we sold the 16 delta put and call. We're looking for the option, the call that's closest to 10 delta. In this case, that's the 254 strike. And at the same time, we'd like to buy the 10 delta put. In this case, the 228, right? So if we look at just selling the one standard deviation strangle, we are collecting $1.66. However, if we're looking to define our risk because we're concerned about what's happening, we collect $1.68, but our worst loss is $432, right? So yes, we make less, but for those who are worried about undefined risk or for those with retirement accounts or cash accounts, yeah, you make less. However, your max loss is also significantly less. So this would be an example of what do we have here? Selling the standard deviation strangle and buying the 10 delta call and put to define our risk. And again, for this, we're also looking to manage it at 50% of the max profit. So the next thing we did was we bought the 10 delta call and put to also define our risk. The difference here being, let's find out. So we're selling the 16 delta call. We're buying the call, the 5 delta call. We're selling the 16 delta put. We're buying the 16 delta put. I know that happened kind of behind the scenes, but let's take a look. Right? So that's this one down here. Right? So again, the 16 delta strangle by itself, we're collecting $1.66. However, if we buy the 5 delta call and put, we collect almost double what we did when we sold the 10 delta put and call. Excuse me, when we bought the 10 delta put and call to define our risk. Now we're looking at a scenario where we can make $116, but our risk is almost double of what it was before, right? So that's what we did. And then the last thing we did, and again, we tried to buy that back at 50% of the max profit. The last thing we did was we went all the way out to the 2 delta put to define our risk. So that will look like we want to sell the 16 delta call, we want to buy the 2 delta call, we want to sell the 16 delta put, and we want to buy the 2 delta put. So way out there. So here's what we're looking at. Is there a way to reorder these? I don't know. That's okay. Not a big deal. Actually, let me just do this. I'll just do this after so we can see them all in a row. Good idea, Steven. Thank you. Okay. Selling the 16 delta call. Cool. 16 delta put. Cool. Great. Okay. So, what are the 4 things we did? So the first thing we did is we sold the 1 standard deviation strangle, and we bought it back at 50% of max profit if it ever got there, right? Cool. The next thing we did was we sold the 1 standard deviation strangle, and we bought the 10 delta put and call to define our risk. We collect only 68 cents for doing so. However, our max loss is $432, right? Then what we did was we sold the 1 standard deviation strangle, the 16 delta call and put, and we bought the 5 delta put and call. This time we're collecting about $1.16. So our max upside is a little bit more, but so is our max loss. Then what we did was we went even further. We sold the 1 standard deviation, the 16 delta put and call, and at the same time bought the 2 delta put and call. So way out there. So we collected almost as much as we did by just selling the strangle outright. But in this case, we have quote unquote, and I'm doing this in quotes, we have our max upside, our max downside only being about $2,300. So, no big deal, no big deal there. However, let's see what it looks like when we go to the study. Great. So again, all trades are executed in the monthly expiration cycle, 50 days to expiring. And again, we bought them all back at 50% of the max profit if we were able to. So let's look at the results. So on the left side, if we sold the strangle and we bought it back for 50% of max profit, instead of being right 68% of the time, we're right 91% of the time. We're in the trade for an average of 25 days. We make about $1.95 per trade. If we sell the strangle and we buy the 10 delta wings, we make about $25 a trade. We're only right 78% of the time for about 87 cents per trade. If we buy the 5 delta wings, we're right 84% of the time, make about $1.08 per day. And then if we sell the strangle and buy the 2 delta wings, so way out there, we're very close to the original strangle, right? So we're close 90%, and we make about $1.50 per day. So what does this tell us? It tells us that the more money we collect, right, in this case, the best outcome of those defined risks where we're buying the wings is when we bought the 2 delta wings, right? We're right 90% of the time for $1.52 per day. That's 33% better than buying the 5 delta wings, and almost 100% better than buying the 10 delta wings. Why is that? The reason is because we're collecting more money, right? So while this goes a little bit against what most people think, if we want to do this strategy by defining our risk, the best way to do it is by selling the 16 delta call, 16 delta put, and at the same time buying the wings, but the very inexpensive wings, the 2 delta wings. That will get you the closest results to the undefined risk strangle. It will not improve your downside. However, it will allow those with IRAs and allows the 401ks and non-margin accounts like cash accounts to be able to get very similar returns. Not as good as undefined risk, but your best bet is going to be selling the strangle and buying the 2 delta wings. I'll see you on the next video.